Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the main card fights for UFC Fight Night, Magny versus Ponzinibbio. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the main card, our first prediction. So in our first fight on the main card, we have in the women's strawweight division, Cynthia Calvillo versus Paulina Botelho. So Botelho's stock is high right now, and Calvillo's stock dropped a little bit after losing to Carla Esparza. She won the first round out wrestling Esparza like she was going to win the fight from that point on, keep that pace, but then she kind of faded like in the second and third and was actually outstruck and outworked by the smaller Esparza to a decision loss. So her stock fell after that. Then you got Paulina Botelho. She came in and got a destructive the finish over Suri Kondo, who's a striker, kickboxer and all that stuff. She got a first round stoppage over, kicked her in the body and just crumpled up and finished her. Like impressive stock. So it's like Paulina Botelho is hot right now, so it's looking like she'll win this fight. But I'm asking to go the other way. I was leaning towards her, but now I'm thinking about it and looking at her fights and how she was able to at least get kind of walled and stalled a little bit or have difficulties getting off the cage. And I think Cynthia Calvillo is a little bit more well-rounded. She definitely could take people down. She was able to take down the level of wrestler that Carla Esparza is and held her down for a good portion of the first round. Then I think she'll at least be able to have some success with that against Botelho. I think on the feet, Cynthia Calvillo still is solid on the feet, though I would give Paulina Botelho a significant advantage on the feet, definitely with the power aspect and the authority aspect, like with that power and which she know where to put it and where to set it up with. She definitely will be to have the advantage on the feet, but oftentimes in MMA, this is mixed martial arts. This isn't striking. This isn't kickboxing. This isn't straight up wrestling. It's the more person who could better put their skill set together and use their veteran experience or use their whatever they got, the best combination of all the things they have to win the fight. I think Cynthia Calvillo is the more well-rounded fighter. She has better grappling. She has better wrestling. I say her submission skill a little bit better. All that stuff is in line with better grappling. As far as on the feet, Botelho has the better striking, but I think Calvillo would be able to mix it up and make it a rough night for Botelho. Never really giving her the space to land those powerful strikes or not landing them often enough to get where she get what she wants done, to dictate the pace. She might be able to get some big shots off, but Calvillo will be able to smother her striking a bit and implement some grappling, mixing the striking, and mixing all she needs to make it a very smothering type fight for Botelho. So in this fight, I have Cynthia Calvillo via decision. Then on to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, let me say the name, Guido Canetti. Yeah, Guido Canetti versus Marlon Vera. Sorry about that stutter, but yeah, let's get back into the thing. So Guido Canetti versus Marlon Vera. And I think this fight is really just a mismatch. It's a mismatch. Or a mismatch. It's not like Marlon Vera is so great or anything, or Canetti's so bad, but I just think that Marlon Vera just is like this, he's fought better competition, has fared better against better competition. Guido Canetti has just really been around. He's been surviving around and winning some fights here and there, losing fights, but really never really fought anybody at a good, top tier competition. Whereas Marlon Vera has fought some of the very best people in this division, from Lineker to Kelleher, got a win over Kelleher, lost to Lineker, top 10 opponents. And Guido Canetti really hasn't fought those people. He's fought lower tier competition and he really hasn't fared too well. Then he's 38. Vera's 25, so he's got more than 10-year age disadvantage. He got a 2-inch height advantage. 2-inch height disadvantage. So pretty much he got disadvantages there with competition disadvantage, height disadvantage, age disadvantage, and competition disadvantages. All that stuff factoring against him. The only reason he's getting the red corner treatment, or at least they're showing he's getting the red corner treatment, is because they are in his home country, Argentina. But I think he's just outmatched there, where I think Marlon Vera is a better striker, the better grappler. I say younger, stronger, and all that stuff. He'll be able to strike him from range. If Guido Canetti tries to at least try to forcefully get inside, he could definitely duck under and get some takedowns and just have his way with him on the ground. He could pretty much just do it have different avenues to victory. I think he's gonna bust him up on the feet and then finish him in the second round. He's gonna be smart about it, not get too risky and get caught by anything stupid or anything. He's gonna just have a smart workman's performance, just breaking him apart, then wearing him down in the first, then going for the kill in the second round. And I see him tapping him out in the second round. He's gonna wear him down with strikes, wear him down with grappling. In the second round, once he wear him down, kind of have him fading down, go for a takedown, work on the ground, and secure a submission. So in this fight, I got Marlon Vera via second round submission. Then on to our next fight, we have in the middleweight division, Cesar Ferreira versus Ian Heinisch. Well, his name really don't matter too much at this moment. Maybe if he could pull off a victory, but I'm not going for no pull out upset victories in this fighting. It's a short notice fight. It's not like they pulled him out because he was so talented or something, or so much ready for this moment, even though he couldn't be. He's probably a solid fighter and all that stuff. But looking at his record, the only solid competition he fought, and Marcus Perez stopped him in under 2 minutes via submission. So that's not really looking too good on your record. Your record, you only got 2 losses, 11 wins, 12 wins or whatever. but not against the best competition. And when you fought like decent competition, you got effectively dispersed. I mean, he just got dealt with you pretty easily. So that's not looking too impressive. Then against Cesar Ferreira, his record might not be the prettiest, at least by record-wise, but he's fought some good competition, fair well against some good competition, even had some losses that could have been wins. So Cesar Ferreira is a top-notch opponent. Tough Brazil win. I think it was the inaugural season of Tough Brazil. He won that. So solid fighter, solid striking, solid grappling. I think really the only thing kind of that's factored against him is maybe his chin. That's about it. Everywhere else, he's a pretty solid fighter. I mean, a phenomenal fighter, but if you could touch that chin, it certainly could change the course of everything. And looking at Ian Heesh, it don't look like he really has those abilities. His opponent, plus he's a late notice opponent. That's the only reason he's stepping in on getting this opportunity because Tom Breeze pulled out like last minute due to injury. So Cesar Ferreira is just getting a short notice opponent. So I think Cesar Ferreira is just better everywhere. Like he's just on a different level. This is a different caliber. So Ian Heesh is like pretty much looking for either some grind out performance where he just somehow breaks him or catches him with a lucky shot. But I don't see any of those happening. Cesar Ferreira is a more technical fighter, more experienced fighter, the bigger fighter, like against one of those matches where Cesar, like the opponent, like, you know, the red corner, or at least the more experienced fighter, a more highly touted fighter, just better everywhere and just all fat, like in just about every area. And I think that's what's going to factor in. I think on the feet, Cesar Ferreira better have his way with him on the feet. And then if he wants to go to the ground, maybe, and he gets like, you know, he's getting too close with his pressure or putting on too much pressure, I think Ferreira will be able to take it to the ground. And I think he has not phenomenal, but he has solid grappling as well. I mean, Ferreira has solid grappling, so he could take him down to the ground if he wants to. If you know the pressure is becoming too much on the feet, he could definitely change levels, mix in the grappling. I think he could secure a submission pretty quickly. I'm not gonna say, matter of fact, I'm gonna say first round. I think he'll be able to get it first round. If he gets him to the ground or tags him on the feet and somehow gets him to the ground, I think it's gonna be like a submission. So in this fight, I got Cesar Ferreira via first round submission. Then on to our next fight, we have in the light heavyweight division, Khalil Roundtree versus Johnny Walker. So an interesting matchup. Well, not that interesting. Like, really not interesting. I just said that because I said it, but it's not that interesting. I think Johnny Walker is a solid fighter coming off the Contender Series. An impressive performance to win that fight, but not like super dominant or nothing. But it was like one of those clear decisions. So as far as Johnny Walker goes, he has solid striking, decent enough grappling. He's like one of those people that maybe not won't be the type to just take you down and manhandle you with their grappling and be so good with grappling. But it's one of those people that set up their grappling with their striking. When they get their striking, everything kind of sets up off their striking. Like their takedowns won't really be that effective. They can't gain your respect in striking. They won't be able to get you to these positions unless they gain your respect in strike. So he's one of those people that sets up all his stuff. He sets up his momentum with his striking. So that sets him up real well for Khalil Roundtree, who pretty much is a striker who's trying to work on that grappling. I mean, if he could get him down, it definitely could be bad for Khalil Roundtree because it still seems he hasn't really fixed up his holes in the grappling yet. But Johnny Walker's style and relying on being effective on the feet, or at least gaining the opponent's respect on the feet, or needed to be the leader on the feet, definitely factors against him against Khalil Roundtree. I think Khalil Roundtree has too much power, too much explosiveness for Johnny Walker to find that success. And I think he'll walk right into a big shot, and Khalil Roundtree would be able to down him pretty quickly. Man, the power, the speed, the explosiveness will be too much, and especially early on. And I think that's what's going to happen. He'll get caught early on and not be able to drag Khalil Roundtree into the second and third round, where maybe he'll have more success. I think he'll get stopped before he can get to that point. So in this fight, I have Khalil Roundtree via first round TKO. Then on to our co-main event, we have in the featherweight division, Ricardo Lamas versus Darren Elkins. And we got two 145 veterans, two featherweight veterans, two talented, pretty well-rounded opponents. I mean, Darren Elkins is not the most well-rounded. His striking kind of meh. It's like not really great, but he makes it work. But he has a very gritty, grinding, wrestling style, grappling style. His striking definitely is forgettable and, not really even notable, but somehow he knows at least how to survive on the feet. But his striking not that notable. Ricardo Lamas, on the other hand, has great striking, great jiu-jitsu, great heart, great grit, great all of that. But maybe not the best chin, and also not the best record against Alpha Male. But outside of that, solid fighter. One of the best people. Like, he's a solid fighter pound for pound. I mean, might not be top 15, top 20, top 30, but he's one of those people like his skill set can transition against all these different weight classes. He's a solid fighter. That's one of the better fighters, period, in MMA right now. And still around, still kicking, and still solid. And I say both of them still top-notch competitors right now. It's not these people like over the hill yet. They're still very much like hungry and active in the division and very much contenders and all that. So as far as the style matchups go, I think Ricardo Lamas is just a style advantage for Ricardo Lamas. He could deal with Darren Elkins' grappling and his wrestling. And then on the feet, Ricardo Lamas is just a much better striker, And I think a much better fighter overall. Maybe Darren Elkins might be more gritty, a little bit more gritty than him because he's definitely that real gritty type of fighter. But as far as the skill set, I think the skill set is just too much in Ricardo Lamas' factor. I mean, in his favor for Darren Elkins' grit to really come into play in this fight. And it's not like he really has that power. It's really he's going to be trying to beat Ricardo Lamas with grit. And like Ricardo Lamas has grit as well, is more talent and more skill in more areas. So I think Ricardo Lamas is going to be to have his way with Darren Elkins. It's going to be one of those type of fight where Ricardo Lamas is really going to be picking apart Darren Elkins, but Darren Elkins is going to be giving him a good fight, enough to survive the fight, enough to maybe have his moments in the fight. But Ricardo Lamas will be savvy enough to, change the momentum whenever it starts shifting too much into Darren Elkins' way, and then go back to just leading the fight, whether it be on the grappling aspects, on the feet, grappling, or whether it be on the feet. And I think, like I said, it's going to be a fight that's just pretty much leaning towards not heavily, but significantly towards Ricardo Lamas. So in this fight, I got Ricardo Lamas via decision. Then on to our next fight. We have in the main event, in the welterweight division, Magny versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. Ponzinibbio's in Argentina. He was supposed to fight Kamaru Usman at one point. So he's been training his wrestling, and he's, I guess, going to be hungry because he's going to be in his home country. He's going to need to want to prove himself. So that's something to note. Then you got Magny. He's Magny. That's what you can really say. Pretty decent striking. At first he had pillow fists, but now he has some power in his hands. Has phenomenal cardio. He's always in shape. He's long. Grappling's underrated because he was even taking down Kevin Gastelum a couple of times and some other people and held his own with Johnny Hendricks in grappling a little bit. So maybe his against BJJ type like world champions, he falls very short of anything decent. But against people that maybe don't have that submission ability, his grappling more than holds up, like especially against wrestlers and maybe pretty just wrestlers and just grapplers who really aren't that good at actually tapping up submissions and stuff, or really have phenomenal type of world champion level top control and submission ability. But Santiago Ponzinibbio certainly not his kryptonite, but as far as on the feet, if you could get him early, that's another weakness for Magny. He leaves himself open a lot early, and he's one of the people that rely on kind of surviving early to crack you down and break you down in later rounds. And this is a 5-round main event, so that definitely could factor in like Magny's favor. If the first couple rounds don't go his way, he could definitely drown Ponzinibbio. And regardless of how those first round goes, I feel like Magny will always be the person that 9.9, like 100 times, 99 times out of 100, he's gonna be the better person, the fresher fighter in the later rounds. So what I'm basically saying is Santiago Ponzinibbio, he has to kind of get him out there early, or Magny has to really drag him out and kind of finish him. Not drag him out, but at least drag him out of those first rounds and start to get his edge on in the fight. And I think it's going to have to go Magny's way. I think Ponzinibbio definitely trained to wrestling against Kamaru Usman, and Magny's nowhere near Kamaru Usman as far as wrestling goes or grappling goes. But I still don't think Ponzinibbio's necessarily going to fill those holes up, especially when he has his new opponent switch. He's going to kind of leave it sit there wrestling training in the back a little bit, and probably working on trying to get a quick stop at Magny, or at least kind of land certain shots or combinations that he think will be effective against Magny. And maybe he's going to kind of slack on the wrestling a little bit. So that's going to give Magny a little bit of opportunities to grapple with him. Maybe whether just like in the clinch in the early round, and then finally getting those takedowns in towards the end of the second and then third, and from then on he'll be attacking those takedowns. And I think Magny will be able to survive the first round. He'll probably get caught up in that Ponzinibbio wood chippers type style early, but I think he'll be able to survive it. And basically what I'm saying, he'll be able to survive the early storm, weather down Ponzinibbio, and kind of grind him out. I don't think it'll be a stoppage. Matter of fact, I think it'll be like a 4th round stop. He's gonna be to grind Ponzinibbio out, wear him out, then take him out in the 4th round via TKO strike. So in this fight, I got Magny via 4th round TKO. And that concludes my fight predictions for UFC Fight Night, Magny versus Ponzinibbio. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.